with e-commerce, but don't have time. Call Ecommerce Hotline. Ecommerce Hotline. If you need help to make your store shine, call Ecommerce Hotline. Ecommerce Hotline. 888-499-3266. 888-499-3266. Wanna see you win? It's time for you to shine. Call Ecommerce Hotline. Ecommerce Hotline.
The Ecommerce Hotline, brought to you by Bemeir.
This is the first ever inaugural live stream episode of the Ecommerce Hotline. I am here with Saptarshi, Saps Nath, Saptarshi, Saps Nath, coming all the way to you from New York City, by way of San Francisco, by way of, where are you going back to in Asia again?
Singapore.
My man is hailing from Singapore. That's where he sits in his command throne running the company, but he is an entrepreneur. He's always on the go. So today we have Saps here. He is the founder of Airboxr. Airboxr is an app for Shopify. We're going to get a demo on this live stream today. It's going to be really interesting, combined with the fact that we are also going to, what else are we going to do? We are going to talk about the entrepreneurial journey, talk about what it's like to be a SaaS founder and experience the ups and downs, highs and lows, the growth, the team, all the different factors that go into being a SaaS founder are going to be covered today. We've got 9 viewers out here right now. The comments are kind of lighting up, kind of not lighting up. All right, we got some peoples on here. Yeah, it's happening. All right, we got some viewers. So I'm Maier Bianchi. I'm the founder of the Ecommerce Hotline. I am the founder of Bemeir. There should be a Bemeir logo somewhere in here, but we messed that up today. And I'm tired of going back and forth trying to put graphics on the screen. But Bemeir is an e-commerce web solutions agency. We do design development, consulting, strategy, marketing, and more, based in Brooklyn, New York. We've been around for 10 years, and the e-commerce hotline is our attempt to stand out from the podcast crowd. I've been working on this for a few years. There's a jingle, there's a DJ drop. I would like to have the air horn sound right here, go air, but I don't have anything handy right now. We're a little unprepared for that. But you got to come back for the second episode, where we get a little crazier with the sound effects. Also, I'd like to shout out our sponsor, Drink Sip. This is a non-alcoholic beer. You see they have 4 fine selections. We've got the 311 Stealing Hoppy Hours. That's an IPA. We got the Watermelon Refreshing Wheat, which I'm going to crack right now. We got the version 2 of the Watermelon Wheat, and we got the version of the Hazy IPA. So you got to listen to that ha sound. This is non-alcoholic beer. We're not getting drunk at 4:45 on a Thursday, even though it's perfectly acceptable time for happy hour. This is the Saps happy hour. And that's quite refreshing. So now, without further ado, now this is when you can give your official intro, Saps. This is for the actual people watching, for the real podcast. I do have a stream deck. I just don't know where it is. Thank you. But this is your chance to give the real intro, to make it happen, because the stream deck would require a very long USB cord, which we got, but it's just every time there's an idea of something I need, I write it down on the whiteboard, and then we acquire that. So Saps, without further ado, this is your chance to tell us about Airboxr and what you've got going on. And I'm going to just make sure the hotline can be called. Okay, go for it.
Yep. Thank you, Maier. So quickly, everyone, my name is Saps. Saptarshi, I go by Saps. I started Airboxr a couple of years back. What we do is we automate all the data work, especially related to revenue, marketing, e-commerce stats, product sales, things like that within your Google spreadsheets. So we connect behind the scenes to Shopify, ad channels, email channels, and automate all the reporting you will need to make decisions. We work with 10, 20, $30 million brands to understand exactly what decisions they make and what data they need to automate those decisions. And then we automate those decisions into and convert them into spreadsheet reports then we open it up to everyone so that even a $3 million brand can really benefit from understanding how $10 million brands work.
So
Before, so
keep going.
sorry, go on.
Sorry. No, keep going.
Bef
I'll hype it up after.
Before this, I used to be a VC for a couple of years. Before that, I started my first company, another DTC brand, way back in 2012, and I was on Magento for that product, Maier.
Shout outs to
Uh,
Magento. So you're a man of
hey,
the ecosystem. You know the highs and the lows of hosting your own e-commerce platform and also SaaS. Keep going.
yes. And before that, I spent 8 years working with Gartner. That was
The Magic, wait, Gartner from the Magic Quadrant, that guy?
yes, that guy.
So
Working
SAPS
on larger,
invented the Magic
yeah.
Quadrant. Okay, keep going.
I wish I could say that, but no, I'm not responsible for that. Whether you like it or not, it might be a good thing or a bad thing, right? Uh, but yeah, no, I worked on big data studies for very large Fortune 100 companies during that time, and that's when I noticed the obsession business folks have with spreadsheets. In those days, I thought people, spreadsheets gonna die away in 5 years. Why are people so obsessed with that? Well,
The
20
best
years
tool
later,
ever.
people are still working. Exactly. 20 years later, people are still working on spreadsheets.
Yeah, I personally love spreadsheets, to be honest with you. You can't go wrong with spreadsheets. Shout
Yep.
outs to my man, Alex Teller and Code Faria. The VLOOKUP has saved many lives in its day. But you said a lot of good stuff there. And so I just want to kind of remark on the fact that I feel really honored on the very first live, actually the very first episode of the e-commerce hotline ever, because my guest yesterday had to cancel. That we're speaking to an e-commerce legend. So my man has operated a brand. He's worked for Gartner, who puts out the Magic Quadrant, who basically they hold the fortunes of very large enterprise e-commerce platforms and other technologies in their hands and literally disappoint or excite many people every year. And beyond that, Saps is a brand founder. So he's actually operated his own e-commerce websites. What were you selling?
Uh, so that was a re-commerce company. We used to work with very large marketplaces and brands and manufacturers to help them manage and liquidate their customer returns. So
Okay,
if a
so
certain product
re-commerce
got,
is a
yeah,
term for recycling all the shit that you guys returned that was perfectly good and it's just going to go in a dumpster or be written off as a tax liability, but they help you squeeze the juice out of that lemon and actually
yep,
turn it into a profit sector, right?
absolutely.
Okay, so tell me more about that.
Yeah, so we used to like whenever somebody returns, say, an iPhone or or an Android phone, instead of going back to the marketplace, it would come to us. Then we would QA it, refurbish it if needed, and then resell it at a significant discount, obviously. And
Okay.
we used to take like a commission and service fee on every part of that process. Uh, and it was a very interesting business. I'm still a big believer in the recycling e-commerce ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a lot tougher to resell a product than it is to sell in the first place, but it is a problem worth solving.
I have bought items from Amazon that are in used like new condition or
Mhm.
or it's a slightly damaged box. Not so much, when it's like somewhere suspect. And like what were the most oft common returned items or things that you would find people are like, "Oh, it's the most commonly returned thing that you were able to resell."
Um, it has to be, so we mostly worked on electronic items, and for the most part, it was like whatever the popular mobile phone used to be at the time, right? Like iPhones were returned a lot. Then there were other like Xiaomi phones were returned a lot. But 99, 97 out of 100 iPhones did not need any additional work from us to make it right to resell. People were just returning it because maybe they didn't like the interface, maybe they didn't like the color of the phone or the shade or the cover or what, could be a myriad of reasons, but you would get a very good deal buying customer returns instead of buying a new one. There's literally nothing wrong with that. If you bought a like new product on Amazon, chances are very likely you're going to be very happy with it. There's no reason to worry about the quality.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's how I feel about it. Sorry, I was distracted trying to set up if someone actually calls the hotline, that we could get their audio piped into this call because otherwise what's the point? But I'll just hold up my speakerphone if it goes down. So that was your experience as a reseller. Did you found that company, or you were just part of it, or what was
No, I
how did
founded
it
it.
start? How did it end? Yeah.
Oh yeah, let me tell you that there's a good story behind how it started. We actually started as a way for video gamers to trade in their video games and buy new ones. Uh,
Aha.
yeah,
So
and
like the GameStop in what this was in Singapore, or
yeah,
where was this?
no, this was in India, but it
Okay.
was yeah, very much like GameStop, except that somebody would actually come to your house, pick up the product, and bring it back, and then a new one would be shipped to you. Uh,
That's crazy.
yeah, it was crazy, and we got a lot of traction for it. But then, the gaming, especially PS3, PS4 gaming, is not very big. It's not a very big market, or was not a very big market when we started out in 2012.
That's
So we
true.
even so we eventually had to expand into other categories. Then we got into electronics. Then we realized that, hey, buying one product from one customer and then, shipping it out to another customer is prohibitively expensive. So we decided to start working with other marketplaces who were starting to reach out to us to see, hey, can you get rid of all these products that we have that are not selling?
So
So
basically they became the depots. Like the item would already be at their warehouse, eliminating your need to pay for inbound shipping and outbound shipping,
exactly,
which
exactly,
made it a
exactly.
pure marketing and reselling business. And that's a smart, so you quickly realize that you got out of the logistics and the holding of the goods. That was pretty smart.
Yeah, yeah. Holding of the goods, the logistics, even then we had a lot of people. I think we had expanded to about 200, 250 people.
Wow.
Um, but but that is not something I will do ever again. In the sense, I have that bigger team, which is why, I'm in SaaS now, where you don't need 200 people to move, to sell a product.
How many people are on your team now?
We're 6 people spread across the world. We have 2.5 people in Singapore,
Two and a
point
half.
0.5.
Okay.
Yeah, you've met Salima, right? She's half in Singapore,
Oh, so
half in
half. Yeah,
half in the US. I'm
she's
kind
half everywhere. Yeah, she's all over the
yeah,
place. That's true. I'm right
yeah.
here with you.
And then we have people in India, an analyst in Nigeria, and am I missing someone? Yes, and one part-time person in Uruguay.
Oh wow. And what does the person in Uruguay do? Development or?
Yeah, she's closer to the US time zone, so she works with, helping Salima with connecting with people, following up, chasing. Um, she's spending her time between marketing and some bit of sales.
Okay. That's awesome. Well, ever since I met the Airboxr team, I feel like your fortunes have been only grown. So I want to hype up to anyone watching this right now what this opportunity represents. So Saps is a very humble founder. My man has been a VC, so he's enabled dreams. He's crushed dreams. He probably has some really good shares of some very nice companies right now because I don't feel like you ever stop being an investor once you start, right? Because you're snowballing it unless you know, get completely wiped out. I feel like that you just turn one good investment to another. Like the BVXL guys, they just keep rolling. Like hey, like I've been a perennial winner, and you get to keep calling yourself a winner because you invested in one, you sold one thing, turned into another. Now you know the ecosystem. So,
Yeah.
is there any portfolio companies that you are willing to discuss or say that you are really proud of, like to be a part of, or that you
Um,
are hot bullish on that you want to shout out on this live stream? I know it's like picking a favorite child, but
yeah,
what?
when I used to work with all the founders back in my last company, I always used to tell them that you are my second favorite team in the company that I worked with. And I literally told everyone that they were my second favorite company. And everyone was freaked out that who the hell is this first favorite company? Because we're the second. And then at some point they exchanged notes and figured out there was no first favorite.
That's funny. So you would just say that to hurt no one's feelings. You could have said like my own company, like the VC itself, like the VC fund itself, because this is the mothership. So,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have to be your favorite. But I meant, are there any companies right now that you're like, yo, go check these guys out, or is it all about
Yep.
Airboxr, no distractions? Like what's the
No,
vibe?
There are so many amazing founders I worked with. I'm not in touch with all of them, obviously, anymore. It's been a couple of years.
Okay.
The one that I do really like is a company called Haystack.
Okay.
They basically help your engineering managers understand the performance of their engineering staff, basically. Uh, so I really love both those founders. They've been, and I've been in touch with them for a while. They're now, I think they're also split between the US and Singapore.
Interesting.
Yeah, you should check them out. I think it's called haystack.io. I'm not sure of
Okay.
the,
So it's like finding your needle in the haystack, trying to locate
yeah,
like the performance of engineers, like meaning like relating to like lines of code shipped or certain
yeah,
metrics around that.
correct. I think it my data might be a bit outdated, but then I think they were looking at, how many code reviews do they need, how much are they pushing, how frequently are they pushing code to GitHub and some such.
Okay. And that's awesome. So that brings us to the current day. You're here evangelizing for your company. You work with some $20 million brands, some $30 million brands that you guys are real humble. When I see you in the streets, Salim was over here at the Shopify events in New York. That's how we met your company. My good man Yannick and I were at an event in the Shopify space in New York City. Sorry, this drink sip got me burping over here because it's so delicious. The we we met Salima, really impressed. Great evangelist for your brand and for your company. And then we all hooked up with a lot of founders during that period. And so I'm happy that I've gotten to meet you in person before. It's great. New York is like the center of the hub of innovation besides, San Francisco, Austin, all these other places, Miami. But New York is just a very like welcoming place despite its urban, hostility latently. But like New York is a very, it's a very cool place. Like there's so many ways to just encounter. If you want to do something fancy, if you want to do something casual, if you want to go for a walk by the river, go for a walk in the park, go to the museum, you provoke your thoughts however you want. I think that's what I love about being a New Yorker natively is what it does for people. Like, people come here and they forget, like they forget about everyone else because you just get so caught up in the moment. Um, and do you have customers on the ground here in New York, like fashion brands or any people that you meet with locally?
Yeah, actually, we've very recently both began focusing on the New York ecosystem and the US ecosystem and a little bit of Toronto as well.
Okay.
Initially, when we started out, we had more users from Australia, Southeast Asia, and India, and the UK.
Okay.
And then we saw a lot of people from US discovering us organically, and then trying us out, and then converting into customers. But we didn't really get a lot of feedback from them in terms of where did they find us, why did they start using us. So we figured the best way to do that is to actually be here and spend more time here. Uh,
Okay.
we are working with a few brands based out of the US. I think about almost half of our current customers come from the US, but I'm not sure if any of them are based.
Very interesting that, like, basically you embrace the spreadsheets, democratize the spreadsheets, because I feel like spreadsheets are the last millennium's chat GPT, right? Like you can do wizardry with the spreadsheets that you can't do. disadvantaged if you didn't have the knowledge or the foresight. Because, for example, you'd be sitting there for hours trying to prepare something that someone else could do.
Yep. Sounds good. Amazing. And thank you for bringing out the spreadsheet angle of this, right? Because I feel like, no, back when I was, one of the things I learned from being a consumer-focused consumer founder before is that changing human behavior takes a lot of time and takes a lot of money. And yeah, well, I'm sorry about I shouldn't laugh at that, but you know, but that's a very big challenge, and people do not want to change the way that they work as far as possible, right? And therefore, my philosophy has always been that we should be easing into whatever workflow that they have already instead of trying to change them the way that they work, change the way that they work. And that's why Airboxr is so very focused on spreadsheets. I'll show you. Let me start with sharing my screen and let me know if you can see it fine. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So uh, this is the homepage where you land. On the right here, you can see a few important KPIs from your business, like what's my LTV, what is my MER, marketing efficiency ratio, what's my blended CAC, and overall sales numbers. Now, uh, as soon as you connect your Shopify store, you connect all your like ad channels, these numbers will start populating. In the middle of the page here, everyone sees a different feed, sort of like the LinkedIn feed we are all familiar with. What's happening here is it's pulling out insights from your store and providing you with suggestions on what you could be doing. Like you mentioned. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to sit in front of this every day if you're using your Boxer, but let me to give you an example of the kind of insights you get from this, right? For instance, you've sold $50 worth of goods to returning customers. This is X% of all your sales. Now, mine is demo data, so take these numbers with a healthy pinch of salt. But let's say your repeat rate is 20%, right? Now, here is where we use OpenAI APIs to help you interpret the data and do something about it. For example, uh, for your business, what's the like is 50% a good number, bad number? There's that. Then based on what you sell, everybody would see a different kind of recommendation. Like if you, mm, yeah, Yes. So we would look at what kind of categories do you operate in, what kind of regions do you deliver in, things like that, and eventually provide you with an output that is very specific to your business. Yeah. 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 This I think we're now using. I think we're using. The last time I checked, we were using ChatGPT 3.5. Yeah, one thing you should, I didn't know myself is that the results you get when using the API are slightly different from the results you get when you're chatting with it. And what we've fine-tuned is obviously the API, right? Of course, it exactly, exactly. So we're able to uh, the kind of prompts that we're using, the kind of inputs that we're using, it is a bit more stable when you're using the API. But I think when I try doing the same thing on the chat interface, then you know, like you mentioned, I also get a lot of junk. Yep, yep. Now this is where the magic happens, the Hops marketplace. Hops are basically like Zapier's apps, but uh, they're automations of data, not automations of workflows. Now we have about 120 different hops automations that we have created here. Many of them are in collaboration with other brands. Now, how do we run this? Now we've got a series of sheets here that I've opened in the past before, but for now, let me just create a new sheet.
Can everyone hear me now? I totally messed this up before, by the way. No one could hear me, but at least they could hear you. So I was saying a bunch of stuff, and the world will never know what it was. So keep going.
Let me just rename this. So what's happening here is this is a new spreadsheet that's been created when I clicked the create new spreadsheet button. This
Okay.
spreadsheet is actually inside of your Google Drive. You can see the link over here as well, on the left. So once you create a report inside of Airboxr, you don't need to always come back to Airboxr. You can always open the same sheet from your own Google Drive.
Yep. So
Now,
you're saying you don't like. Can you repeat that for me? Because I was distracted. Sorry. It's a live stream.
now,
I'm just gonna be honest.
yeah, yeah. Now, what I mean is here on the right, you can see a Google Drive, Google Sheet. On the
Yes.
left, here are all the interfaces for Airboxr, right?
So
Now,
that's
this
your
Google
custom
Sheet,
interfaces. So you're also a master of the Google APIs because that's using
yes,
their like version of Shopify, Polaris, whatever. Like you created interfaces so that you can pull in different kinds of data. It's like a plugin almost, right?
yeah. So this is the opposite of a plugin in the sense, instead of us being embedded inside a Google spreadsheet, we are embedding a Google spreadsheet inside of us.
Interesting.
So here on the right,
Oh, okay. Sorry. So we're still in the back end of Shopify or in your app, and that's
mm,
cool. Okay, I see it now.
yeah,
That's awesome.
the, you can actually move this out of the way and continue to work on your spreadsheet if that's what you want. Um, on here, we've got, you can see a lot of these that I've already added, all of these reports that I've already added.
And so is that
Uh,
something that your subscribers get is like based on demand or based on, what you guys think is good? Like you can you can like you add new apps every time.
Yeah, so we've worked with close to 200 brands to get here.
Okay.
And usually it involves a pretty consultative process of understanding what decisions they're making, what data they look at to make those decisions. And then we go ahead and automate it into these outputs, right? And so if a new brand comes in today, 9 out of 10 times they will find an existing report that already answers their questions. But then that one time out of 10 that they won't find it, then we will come in and create it for them, and then we'll open it up to everyone else.
Got it. So it's like you can get the competitive edge, but if it's a really good product, then like if it's a good report, you'll open it up to the market. So I don't remember what the I'm trying to think of a good analogy for this, but basically your product just keeps getting better and better. It's like a
Yep.
snowball rolling downhill into a snow boulder of useful reports and data
Yep.
that just keeps getting better. So the more brands that use it, the more intelligent questions get asked or proposed, then it goes back into the product. I think
Yeah.
that's really cool just because a lot of products stagnate, right? The bigger they get, the less resources they have to innovate. But it sounds like it's the opposite with Airboxr. So the more people that get on the train, the better it gets.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There's let me give you an example. So there's this one fashion company in the UK that we worked with. One of the things that they were trying to do was understand when is the right time for us to introduce a new line, a new fashion line, right?
Okay.
Uh, and for that, we had this consultative call with them, and then eventually what we discovered was that they would mark down last season or lower selling items, not as a discount, not using a discount code, but just strike out and then lower price now. Uh, and then there were other newer products that were also selling well, and then they were at full price. So we created an analysis for them that would compare how much of their overall stock is selling at full price versus lower price, what the speed of sale for each of those products are, and so on. And when the proportion of markdown products starts to go beyond a certain percentage, then they would know, okay, we need to start working on our next season line.
Got
And
it.
2 months
Like,
later, they launch the next season line.
so it's like they get a new pulse in their business, not just when the designers feel like designing. We're like, hey, the people are
Yeah,
demanding new styles. Get to work,
yeah,
factory. Like,
yes,
okay,
yeah.
that's incredible.
And
So, tell me more.
there's another example I want to share. This is a very so the reason I'm sharing these examples is that you if when you are looking at data, dashboards don't always work because even if when you use a dashboard, you're going to download them into a spreadsheet to find the one or two things that you need to answer.
That's true.
And one example I'd give is there's this CPG company where not CPG, yeah maybe that we were working with, and they're in a massive sale, right? Usually they would get maybe 200 orders a day. That day they got
Okay.
5,000 orders.
So out of nowhere, they just blew up.
Yeah, I mean they did that they had a run up to it, but on one specific day there was like 5,000 orders. Then a month later, our contact there gets a call from their head of ops, and the head of ops says that, hey, you know what, you ran this sale a month ago, and I saw about 100 packages from that sale that did not ship out.
Hmm.
Uh, but don't worry about it. I have shipped it out now. Okay. Now, now our contact, he wanted to identify who those 100 people were, and then send them a special gift, an apology gift. Right?
Oh, like we're
Because
sorry we never shipped your order, but here's something for all your trouble. That's pretty smart.
yeah, exactly. Now you think that it would be a pretty simple way to identify which 100 products were impacted, but it was not. He
Wait, so you're
spent
saying it wasn't just 100 specific orders. It was anyone who ordered the 100 specific products?
No, there was no clear signal like that. So basically, there were 100 packages that did not ship, right? Then they shipped it out. But there was no way for our contact, who runs e-commerce for them, to know which 100 were delayed, right? So they knew that when the order came in, what the order was. The only way to find that was literally go into every one of those 5,000 orders, identify, look at the timestamps, and
Yep.
find out when it was shipped.
Yeah,
Now,
because they couldn't just filter by all their shipments because then it would get lost in things that shipped the day they figured it
time as
out.
well, right?
Oh my.
So, so obviously that was an exciting, I'd say, project for us. But literally, it took us 10 minutes to figure this out, because we have one of our hops is basically a fulfillment export that gives you the timestamp of whenever the status changes, right?
Okay.
So all we had to do is look at the orders from that date and filter for times when the time difference between order received and order shipped out was more than 30 days or 30 days or whatever the date was. So it literally took us 10 minutes it took us 1 minute to run that report, but it took us 9 minutes of discussion to understand how to best figure this out. But literally, we had the list of 100 products, 100 orders that were impacted, and then he sent them out the next day itself.
That's amazing. By the way, I'm gonna need for interactive purposes when we're just to see if you can. I can't figure out how to pin your video on the screen while you're sharing. So do me a solid and stop sharing for a minute so the people can remember who you are, and they know what you're about, right? So anyhow,
Yeah.
um, so like in that scenario where you helped people kind of like pinpoint that, was that like a light bulb moment or an aha moment for you and your company or for them? Like what was the impact of that story?
Right. I mean, I think for them it was more that they hadn't really thought that they could use Airboxr this way to answer such an incredibly specific question. And it sort of made them open up to, oh, I didn't realize that I could answer this question using Airboxr. What else can I do with Airboxr since then, right?
Okay.
And usually we see that most of our customers, they when they schedule a report, there are usually 3 to 5 reports that they schedule. Uh, Now, this company is now one of our power users, and they have close to 50 reports that they have scheduled to run behind the
Wow.
scenes every day.
And then those are for reports in different departments, like
Yes.
finance person gets a report, the brand ordering, the merchandising, etc.
Exactly, exactly. So usually most folks find us through one of our content pieces around marketing, and
Okay.
most people do come to us for marketing data automation at first. But once they've already automated things like ROAS analysis and profitability analysis or some such related to ads, then they would move on and start looking at all the other more business intelligence
Okay.
analytics instead.
Well, that's awesome. So then, do you guys have a testimonial gallery or like customers telling success stories?
Yes, we do have one on our website, which profiles, I think we have about 5 or 6 customer stories which we have profiled so far. And that comes with testimonials that they have shared with us as well.
That's awesome. Well, that's kind of the proof is in the pudding. So, just for my purposes, I wish I had a brand going hot of my own right now so that I could use it. But what I like is that brands large and small who we work with, both brands that are bigger, brands that are smaller, should definitely check this out. And like, what is the price point range of this product? Since everyone's so price conscious right now,
Mm.
sorry for putting you on the spot, but like, is there like an entry level package? Is it based on the number of data records? Like, obviously, you're crunching a lot of numbers, or you're pulling a lot of data out, transforming it, and then spinning it out. What is the what's the scheme? Like, what's the pricing scheme based upon?
Good point. Let me just quickly share my pricing page.
Okay, hold up. I'm gonna get that up. Perfect. People can see it. I'm just gonna switch so people can see it bigger. All right. Here is the pricing page.
Great. So most of our customers are in this plan.
Okay.
Usually around the $3 million point is
The
when they need to
startup
graduate
plan.
this. Yeah. This we segregate them by the number of reports that you need to schedule, the number of integrations you need, and the number of people that you need to bring onto a workspace. Um, a lot of our users also run multiple stores. So when they run multiple stores or run multiple brands, we would give them volume discounts as well.
Got
Uh,
it. So you get them on. If you have multiple stores, you go to Pro. Pro comes with multiple integrations so you can connect different, like different instances of Shopify, for example. And the
yes,
makes sense. And then
correct.
from there, you kind of grow from there. 30. But then if you need more reports, that's where you might get some extra report credits or whatever. And that's where the volume discounts come in, right?
Yes, absolutely. So for our larger price points, higher price points, we would also create very custom reports for you. We would help you hook up these reports into a dashboarding tool like Google Looker Studio. Uh,
Okay.
and yeah, so that every one of your teams is looking at the same numbers at all times. That's the biggest challenge that we hear from others, that hey, uh, my my uh,
Oh,
my
that's
marketing
good.
person is pulling data from a different system or at a different time. My finance team is pulling data from a different system or a different
I get
time,
it. Like
and they
your
don't talk
source
to
of
each other.
truth is not my source of truth. My source of truth is
Yes,
better than yours. And then like nobody can agree and get along because they're just fighting over the veracity of their numbers.
Exactly. One thing I do want to highlight is for really early companies who haven't hit 1 million in sales yet, we
Okay, so
have
for
an we
aspirational
have a plan.
brands.
Yes, we have a plan that starts at $50 a month only.
So if you're watching this, you need to try the trial. You need to try the $50 a month plan if you're a small brand, because that's when you might need the help and the power of this data even more. If you're a one man band and you're trying to take it to the next level, wouldn't like this is like hiring someone to help you. And then if someone's on the introductory plan, do they get support? Do they get some kind of a, like just a helpful pat on the back to get started? Like, how do you guys empower
Yes,
people? Because maybe that could be how they take their business to the next level.
yes, absolutely. Uh, all, all of our plans come with a personalized onboarding in the beginning, uh,
Okay.
and
I'm going to put it on
also
my store.
yep, and also we have a chat just like this. We have a chat inside the main app as well, where you can reach us if you have any questions or or if you're struggling to find the right kind of automated report for your business,
There's your chat
or
right there. There
so
you go.
this
Is that powered by intercom or what powers that?
no, this one is called Gist, Gist.
Okay, I get the gist. All right, keep going.
So yes, that we're trying to keep our pricing as simple as possible. This one is an all like a all frills support thing,
Which
support
one?
option. On the right, you can see
Okay, the
custom for
custom.
$2,500.
Yeah, so this is
Yeah.
if you want to be the belle of the ball, you fully believe in data, like you
Yeah.
want the full access to everything. You want to really like basically hire Saps as an extension of your team and his analysts. This is what you do. You're a fractional
Yes,
data team.
absolutely. Absolutely. This is the fractional data team. And this also comes with my personal phone number, so you never get lost.
So I'm gonna WhatsApp you right now on that. Meaning like if you need a nudge and it's an emergency, you can just
Yes,
do it, right? Okay,
exactly.
that's cool. That's great. Like what I guess now because we're nearing we're at the 1 hour mark of this fiasco with the technical difficulties. Were you wanting to show me one more thing here? Please do
Yes,
if you do.
I want to show one thing in particular about I want to run one of these reports and show it to you.
All right, my
Uh,
man is gonna run this report in real time, and now I
yes,
realized I can zoom so I could show you the actual, what's going on here. So okay, tell me what
awesome.
report we're gonna run.
Awesome. So we're gonna run this report called frequently bought together. But
Okay.
if you ever went to Amazon, you would see
Yes.
recommendations
Yeah, you
below,
see
right?
three products lined up next to each other. The
Exactly.
FBT report. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, FBT report. So this is what it does for Shopify stores. It will also help you create bundles. So
Yeah.
our merchants can create the right kind of bundles, right? And what we do for this is actually called, it's a popular methodology called market basket analysis.
Put
So
that
I'm
back up
literally going,
there. Okay, you got it. Never mind. Do you?
yeah,
But yeah, so identify the top 1,000 products frequently purchased together in the same order. Use the data to design bundles and offers to help you increase AOV. Okay. So, okay,
right?
go for it.
So I'm going to hit run. I can select the
Look how
time frame
fast this
here as
is.
well. Yep.
Okay, so this is the
But
time frame.
yeah, so I can also customize it, customize the time frame. But what I'm going to do is run this up. So what's happening here is we're pulling the data, the sales data for the last 7 days.
Yeah, so
We're
this is the
looking at what.
post Valentine's Day bump. Keep going.
Yes, and then we're looking at what kind of products were, purchased, what was added to cart, which carts were, had an overlap in products, and what did those products look like. Now,
Okay.
mine is all fake data. In your real store, you'll see better data, but what this is telling me is this. So this is what's called a market basket analysis. It
Okay.
tells me that 0.2% of all the orders had this combination of products in it.
Okay.
And then it tells me that of all the orders which had product A in it, 100% of them also had product B in it. Now, in because I'm using fake data, it's 100%. For your case, probably be like 20%. Right?
Okay.
And finally, I find this last bit really helpful. What this is telling me is when product A gets added to the cart, the chances of product B being bought goes up by 498x.
Okay, so in this
So
case, this crazy data is driving me nuts. But like, what in like a real world scenario? So you're saying like the second you get, so this is about carts or is it about orders or both?
now it's about orders in the same cart. So, for example, let's say that someone who buys bananas at the store, the
Mm-hmm.
chances of them also buying milk actually goes up by 400x.
Yeah, but is it buying it at the same purchase or at a
Cart,
later time?
same
Okay,
purchase.
so meaning like if I'm buying one can of drink sip, like I'm buying this
Yeah,
watermelon wheat here, then my chance of buying the 311 happy hour goes up by
yeah,
52% because something,
exactly.
so it establishes like the relationship between it. Like for example, if I had a matching pair of pants to go with my top, I might, like if it's like a set basically,
Yeah,
like it helps
yeah.
establish those relationships, but the hidden
But
ones that you might not know
mhm.
about.
But imagine the brand that the brand you're talking about now, right? If they knew that, hey, people who buy strawberry also buy blueberry, right? Or people who buy strawberry never buy blueberry.
Yeah, you
So
would try
that could
not to
be
show the blueberries at the same time as in the same place as the strawberries.
exactly, exactly. The other thing that you are referring to is actually called cross-sell analysis. We also have that.
Okay, there's a cross
What
sell
this,
analysis.
yeah. So what this does is when people buy X, what do they go on to buy next over the next whatever days?
That's cool. So and you can, all right. So show me what the parameters on that one are.
Yeah.
So this is,
What my
you're
fake
gonna
data
make a new
looks like.
sheet. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We need some
So
better fake data, man. We got to get the team on that. Um,
yeah. So now it's pulling the same like orders data
but
and
what was the time
combining that
period you selected?
last 7 days.
Okay, so then in layman's terms, this is like if somebody bought X over the next
Yeah.
7 days, this was the likelihood they bought Y. Tell me more about this.
Yeah. Exactly.
Can't
So
see your column
people,
headings. Yeah.
yeah. So people who bought toy 394,
Okay.
right? This one, 20% of them went on to buy toy 339.
Oh, okay. So it's a matrix like that, like against, and then why is it only 5 products here? Is that just this data set?
Yeah, I mean, only 5 products must have sold in the last 7 days in my fake store, and therefore it's showing only those five. In your case, it'll be like however many products you have.
And I see this is probably difficult to sort and filter, but like based on the way
Uh,
the headings are.
yeah, give me like you can, sometimes if you're interested in only knowing what do people who buy this X product go on to buy next, you can also just hit customize and add a filter.
Oh, so there's filtering with this. That's
Yeah,
awesome. So like meaning like if you sell a small number of products and you want to know what the path to
yeah,
because then you can target your marketing flows, your automations, like, hey,
correct.
when's the right time to tell someone, hey, what about this? Almost.
Yeah. So I'm just going to put in this, for example, right? I'm going to use this SKU here and let me put it on a new sheet over here. What first is this SKU? Hit next. So
Okay.
then it becomes a lot more manageable. If you already know what you're looking for, you might as well just enter that SKU. If you want to have like a more of a broader business level view, then you use the full thing. And you can
That's pretty
enter
cool.
multiple SKUs as well. You don't need to enter only this SKU. You can enter multiple
Yeah, you can
SKUs.
see a subset, but
Yeah,
then interpret this. So if someone who bought Toy 394, which is the Monster High Dance, the Fright Away, Claudine, Wolf Doll, shout outs to
yeah,
Monster High, there
yeah,
was a 1 in 5 chance that they also bought these two products. Meaning, like in the next, like so basically in your fake data, maybe there
mm,
was a test order. Like there was 5 test orders, and one out of those
yeah,
5 test orders had both of these products on it. That's
yeah,
why it's matrix this way, right?
yeah. And this is where it's not in the same order. This is what do they go on to buy next. So they bought
Yeah, yeah, the
toy
next
three.
order, meaning like within
Yeah,
7 days, they placed
yeah,
an order for these two items.
correct.
Okay, that's
And
really cool.
I mentioned, the more popular one that most people come to us for
Of
when they
course, the
they
ROAS.
start out.
What story can I tell my team, my investors, myself when I go to bed at night? Am I getting proper ROAS, or am I just throwing my money away and giving it to Google and Facebook and those
Yeah.
ungrateful overlords of all of us. This is that
Yeah.
report that
Is
helps
that
you
report?
understand it.
Yeah.
So what does it look
So
like?
so this one is a daily ROAS report. There's a monthly ROAS report as well. I'll show you the daily one first because this is the more popular
And
one.
also talk about what integrations go into this report.
Yeah. So this one uses Shopify, Google Ads, Facebook Ads, and TikTok Ads. It
Okay, so
looks at
you
how much.
literally have to connect 4 integrations out of your list of integrations.
Correct. And so basically, it's going to look at how much did you spend on each of these channels, what did it, how much in sales did each of them claim, and then what was actually the total sales from Shopify.
Interesting. So it helps you like kind of validate. Go. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So while this is loading, uh, one of the things that we did as a version 2 of this is we went and looked at the ROAS for sure, but then we
Okay,
also looked at the profit on ad spend. So what that does is,
that's really what. Shout outs to my man David Deppner and Cyberware. You would love this product.
yeah, awesome. So what that does is basically looks at how much did you sell in total sales, but also how much profits did you get from X amount that you sold on Google Ads,
Okay,
that you
let me
spend
zoom
on
in on
Google Ads,
this.
right?
So, because I am not necessarily personally the ads overlord, but so you're saying on the 16th your Google ad spend was 1149 total.
Yeah, across campaigns. And so these are the spans. Of course, I don't have a real store, so the sales are
Darn
not
it.
going to show up. But then we have this. We have the total ad spend. We have the total Shopify sales as claimed by Shopify. This is therefore 100% the right
But that's
sales,
for
right?
the day, right? That's not. This is not
For that
product
day.
specific. It's like this is
Yeah.
what Google attributed. This is what you spent on this platform, and this is
Yeah.
what you made in Shopify. So this is the actual
Correct.
true. No, like this is one like the source of truth for both. And then what's
Correct.
MER stand for?
MER is basically marketing efficiency ratio. Just says how much did I spend. So I spent $31 to make $38. So my MER is 1.2. So just by that.
So if your profit margin is, it's very
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah. That
slim pickings
now,
out here.
yeah, exactly. I had slim pickings in my fake store. Hopefully, it won't be the case for most other companies.
And what's a healthy marketing efficiency ratio for the average brand or, some kind of
Uh,
category?
it depends really on the product category margins themselves. Like if you're in fashion, you should be expecting anywhere from like 3 to 5x. But but if you're in say electronics, then maybe even uh, then there's probably not going to be that big of a that big of an
I
MER.
know so many people that waste so much money on such more expensive tools, and you're basically giving them the answer. Like, meaning people build such
Yeah,
complex data lakes, and you can help them get some pretty basic understanding how badly they're
yeah,
doing or how good they're doing. Like, people are trying to
exactly.
divine the fates and build all this stuff, and it's like if this number is bad, your business is
Yeah,
in trouble.
exactly. And last year we saw the focus moved a lot toward profitability.
Of
So
course, as it should.
as it should have been from the get-go, right?
Once
So
again,
we
shout out to Cyberware, David Deppner. He's been talking about that for years.
yeah, I'm going to check out his content next.
Yeah, we'll feature. We'll,
Um,
we'll throw him up on the screen. Keep going. Yeah.
oh, awesome. So for example, like these two are more popular profit-oriented hops. So one is which of my products are have the most profits, and then what does the trend look like? Like was it profitable 2 years ago, but is no longer so, and therefore needs to be removed. Then we have the same thing like ROAS, but it is, for lack of a better word, profit on ad spend.
Okay.
The last one I want to show, I'm not going to run all of them, but the last one I want to show is called sell-through rates by product. Now, this is a very, very interesting one, especially for fashion brands, where you look
Sell
at,
through
if I,
rates. Okay.
yeah, if I'm holding 100 units in my inventory, how long will it take me to sell? Like within the last 30-day period, what was my sell-through rate? Did I sell 20% of those 100 products, or did I sell, 90% of those 100 products? So that's also a way to tell when to reorder items, when to get more inventory in, or when to discount the product further.
Okay. And is that
So,
one that would be good to sample run right now, or just we wouldn't?
yeah, sure. Let me run
All right, last
this.
one. I'm getting too deep in the product, man. We gotta zoom out after this. We're getting too
Yeah.
hot on the product, which is good. We want people to learn. We got 8 viewers right now, 8 people loving this conversation, getting something from it, learning from you, and realizing shit. I need to try out Airboxr.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, if they aren't doing this analysis, whether they use Airbox or not, they should do this analysis. The data is usually somewhere there in Shopify, but it may not always be as easily
Yeah,
accessible.
it's hard to pull it out and matrix it. Like each step gets harder. This is really nice data unification. Do you guys also
And
tap into Klaviyo?
yes, we also do Klaviyo. We
Because
do,
many people say the word of Klaviyo is the truth, right? Like the email marketers use Klaviyo's attribution to say, "Oh, we made you so much money," and it's like, "What are you talking about, man?"
yeah, I'm not sure. I think a lot, I've heard this from a lot of people that they want to use Klaviyo's attribution, but it's almost always the email marketing manager. Nobody else trusts
Exactly, because
Klaviyo's
it's saying like,
attribution.
"Yeah, I was responsible. Oh, you did 100 grand last month. Yo, we helped you with 50 grand. Okay, buddy.
Yeah. So these two columns are really what matter in this. So we've got, this product, that Disney Princess, has a sell-through rate of 33%, and the average sells point 0.5 per day. And uh, again, with
Meaning
real
like
data,
you
this will be
have.
better.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So for example, if I had 100 products to sell, I should expect that three of them will sell over the time period that over the 7-day time period that I have chosen right now.
Okay, so
So,
in that 3 day time period, you're going to sell two of those.
mm,
Like, sorry if my math is terrible, but basically, if the current quantity is 6 and the sell through rate is 33%, you're expected to sell two of them, or tell me a little. Maybe
now,
I'm. That's why I stopped math at AB calculus. I kind of gave up there.
so you see, there were a total of 9 products in the last 7 days, and we
Okay.
sold three.
Where do you see
So,
9? I don't see 9.
s- so
Oh,
we
okay. So
six
both,
plus
both.
three, right?
Sorry. 9 minus 3. Okay, got it. There we go. There's the missing variable in my head.
And therefore the sell-through rate is 33%. Usually, the way to look at this is you look at how many products sold and you look at your sell-through rate. Let's say you do this over a month period, or since the beginning of this month. If you see over time that the sell-through rate has started dropping for a certain product, that means that you need to either reduce price or retire it altogether and move on to your next product.
Got it. Because you shouldn't invest your dollars in pushing that when it's clearly just dying out.
Yep, yep.
And
More important for certain industries like fashion or maybe
yeah,
CPG.
exactly. Where you're featuring it first position on your
Yeah,
women's page and you're like
exactly.
really attached to this blue dress while a sleeper hit is on row 7 getting no love, right?
Exactly, exactly. And these are also the products with high sell-through rates are the ones that you should be featuring in your creatives, on your ads.
Okay. I mean, that's really cool. I mean, I wish, that, like, meaning, like, I'm thinking of certain people that I work with who might benefit from this because sometimes you know what you're selling, but also this might give you some hidden insights or something that could really, like, change the game or give you, because then you get excited, right? If you find a
Yeah.
winner when you go on a hot, like, so I used to have a client, shout outs to sohogirl.com, women's fast fashion out of downtown LA. Like there would be trending items, right? There would be things that where like you would what's the word? There'd be like say like this specific that's why they call it fast fashion, obviously. But I meant like there would be so many trends, and it would be so exciting when a product would go on a run, right? So even going back in my career, when I worked in the Halloween industry, and this was around the time that Heath Ledger died and Michael Jackson, R.I.P. I don't think it was the same year, but it might have been. But when Heath Ledger passed away, there was this like Heritage Grand Joker costume, and that thing was on fire. That I just mean is like that's an example of when you notice a trend, but this can help you
Mm,
spot the trend faster, right? Like this can help you
yeah.
say why, like this thing that I thought was my biggest seller is going out of style. Let me pivot, which, can help lessen the blow of just rapidly falling sales. So
Correct.
that's cool, man. Yeah, I mean, I wonder, like it just, I guess another question I had for you here was, and I know we're way over time, but I don't, this is what happens when you get into the conversation is, do you plan to expand your product to other platforms? Because I feel like you already got the game on lock. If you didn't have to go through Shopify to see the interface, then technically speaking, you could do this anywhere, right? Like I guess you use certain I'm trying to not get too technical, but the components on the left side, is
Yeah.
that being rendered using Shopify UI, or that's
No.
basically an iframe into your like some kind of basically you're using some kind of rendering to render that interface. So then you could technically
Yeah.
render that anywhere.
Correct. So we don't work. We're not a like Shopify for us is an integration, just like Facebook is an integration, just like Google is an integration.
Got it.
We own the entire environment where we are pulling in the data and showing the data.
So a user will
Uh,
log into Airboxr directly. You're not, maybe you'll launch from the app to it in Shopify, but you're not. And do you have a Shopify app on the App Store?
yes, we have a Shopify app on the App Store.
And is
It
that what
makes
sets up the integration?
it's yeah, it's more for the integration. So you could start your journey by going to app.airboxr.com, or you could install the app directly from the App Store, and you will still end up at the same place.
Got it. But you need that Shopify app installed to create the API connections to suck out the
Correct.
data. So
Correct.
then do you support other e-commerce platforms, or do you intend to support other e-commerce platforms?
Yes, we most definitely do. In February, we just launched a private beta of Amazon Seller Central.
That is
Uh,
huge. If you're an Amazon seller or an Amazon PPC person, this is your ticket.
yes. Then coming next is the Amazon Ads integration,
That's what I was
and
going to
then
say.
we
It
will
goes
cover.
hand in hand.
Yeah. So yes, the overall the goal is to have all of the e-commerce integrations possible,
What's next? Is it
including
about the squeaky wheel? Yeah, go ahead, including.
yeah. So we're looking at possibly WooCommerce, Magento, and BigCommerce as the
You
next one.
must. It's a must. What
Yeah.
about good old Salesforce Commerce Cloud?
I think those are a bit more enterprisey. We will wait to move up the chain a bit more before we get to
Well,
Salesforce, Demandware, things
I
like that.
think it's more about the speed and the difficulty of the integration. So what I would say
Mm.
is, because your product is so universal, and you could be like, hey man, let's like first of all, I let me just remind the viewers who are still watching who I'm speaking to: serial entrepreneur, business founder, ecom legend, SaaS founder, venture capitalist. So like, who am I? But the point is that like I think your product would appeal to anyone who's running an e-commerce brand, and so it could be pretty demand driven. So for example, if there was a nice brand running Salesforce, I think the main blocker is that certain ecosystems are more locked down, like you need to have a certified cartridge or whatever in Salesforce. So it's harder for you guys to just get access to those APIs and build it. But technically, if someone had a middleware or some way of pulling out that data already, you could kind of sanitize and plug it in, or do you need to build custom models for each integration?
No, because the good thing about these platforms are that the way the data is structured behind the scenes is almost always the same, right? So, like for example, one Shopify store's data versus another Shopify store's data is structured exactly in the same way.
Of
So
course.
so all we need to do is understand the data structures at first, and then once we know that, we pull the data using their API in the right format.
Well, for example, with Magento, right? It's a MySQL database. The data is in certain tables. Theoretically,
Yeah,
that doesn't change. Like maybe the table
yeah,
names could be different, but the actual like main structures are there, and plus you could get other
exactly,
columns. But then what I
exactly.
mean by that is like, if say you're locked out of the demandware Salesforce Commerce ecosystem, but someone has like a middleware, like a generic, like how you're getting data into Looker BI. Like if you had a way of pulling data out of your ecom platform, even through
Mm,
flat files, getting it
mm,
into a format that Airboxer can ingest, that technically means Airboxr you could do your thing
Oh,
on it.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. As long as we know the data structures, it doesn't matter how we know the data structures, we'll be able to pull
So what you're saying is you're primed for world domination, and
that.
it's just about how fast you can go. I think that's really cool, honestly, because this is a universal product, and it's not all the time that you see
Yeah,
universal products. Like maybe it's this non-alcoholic beer talking, but it's kind of like, when there's something where because think about it, someone could invent a similar product, but it's in a different set of hands, meaning it's
mm,
only as good as the brilliant fractional data team mind that it comes from, which kind of means that you're limitless. Yes, you're choosing to go at your own pace, but if like a very large seller on big commerce came to you tomorrow and was
of
willing to
course.
invest in like the custom plan, you'd be like, sure. Well, guess what? We
Yeah,
just moved up our big commerce timeline because
yeah,
I don't want to downplay the amount of work, but I feel like what's cool about your platform also is like you're not having to re-engineer the wheel every time, because that same set of reports can be applied to the other data. Like you might have to make a new entry and make sure it's like the sanity check, but you can still shortcut every time you want to make an integration. You're
yeah.
shortcutting that time to market.
And that's what we did with Amazon Seller Central as well. We got like many requests in December,
Yep.
and by January we had it up and running, and we had people,
Crazy.
we had a beta up and running with 10 brands already. We will open this up to everyone, hopefully in March.
Got it. So that's working out the kinks. And then what, if you could appeal to anyone like about Airboxr, what do you want people to know, or what do you need help with? Like, what's the biggest challenge right now, or what's, like
Mhm.
vulnerable CEO moment, but like what's something where like if you had more eyes and ears on your product, because that's why you guys are out in the field.
Yeah.
I know it's about customers, but what else is it from the ecosystem that would benefit you?
Right. I think for us, getting feedback and helping us prioritize what we build is literally the most important thing right now, because we have momentum now, right? We have people coming in, we have people using us, we have people giving us feedback, we have people, obviously, like there are people for whom this is not the right choice, right? We also, knowing who it's not for is just as important as knowing
Well,
who we
yeah.
can
So
serve the
then,
best.
who is it not for? It's probably not for the guy that's going to to buy it and then not use it. It's definitely not for those people.
There are a lot of those people, but yeah, like for example, if very incredibly early stores that don't even have a lot of data, who are getting 10 orders a day, don't bother with analyzing your data right now. Then just focus on getting your sales up, right? Don't obsess over the numbers just
Oh
yet.
yeah, like something that if you have 9 orders a day, you can't really define a trend because it could be so many variables. That's true.
Yeah, and it's actually dangerous looking at smaller data sets, because you might be making a completely wrong interpretation based on what the data is telling you.
True.
Uh,
And it,
yeah.
but then are there any must-have data points that are like ironclad even as a small brand?
Even a small brand, literally everything that matters is just your sales number, right?
It's
And
true.
even if your um, ROAS doesn't look great, doesn't matter. Just get your first customers. Get your first
Okay.
customers. Get them to pay some money. Even if you're spending $100 to make $30 worth of sale, it's fine. Right? As long as you have money to burn, obviously. But that will teach you enough to get to those to get your ROAS down to a point that you can afford it.
Okay. And like what and are there any programs early stage brands could take advantage of?
Uh, Sorry, you mean programs by while working with us?
Meaning like in order to grow, you know how there's like those startup credits on AWS, or
Yeah,
like is there anything for early stage brands? Like obviously you guys have a free plan, so
yeah,
get the Airboxr free plan because that's a great tool for someone who's a startup. But then
yeah.
besides that, what is like is there any advice you would give someone out there?
If someone is getting started, I would say start with joining the limited supply Slack group. Uh, and of course, listen, follow you on LinkedIn, but also join the limited supply Slack group so that you know everyone in the ecosystem.
Is that
So
one of
that,
those DTC founders?
yep, yep, yep.
Would I be shut out from that? Can I join?
Uh, Yeah, I think no, you should be fine to join as well.
That's from Nick and that's
Yeah, Nick
yeah.
Thomas.
So shout outs to Limited Supply. You guys are the podcast. Um, you guys are the podcast lords. I guess I will join that group because
Yep.
why wouldn't I want people to know? But like those are the Dons. For all those who don't know, they're the current leaders in boring e-commerce podcasts, but they're very they're very well regarded in the community. I'm joking. Their podcast is not boring. I just meant in general, e-commerce podcasts are for a very specific segment of people. But yeah, so that's a really good idea. Let me see if I can tag them. Limited supply. Oh, I see it. I saw the blue.
Yep, that blue.
Oh, I had it and it lost it. Hold on. Limited. Oh, it came in one again. All right, I guess it was not meant to be. We'll shout them out later. But anyway, yeah, it doesn't want to work with me here. Like I can't
Yeah.
LinkedIn tag them without getting crazy here. So, the point is like that's a good idea. So they basically don't go alone is what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's something that's hard, right? We always feel alone. We feel like we can't ask for help, but so many people are struggling with the same challenges you are. That's very true for myself as an entrepreneur, founder of an e-commerce agency. You'd be surprised at how many people are going through the same challenges. Like in the New York community, there was some really cool founders I've met, like Mark from Icy, Galen King from Lucid. Like, there's people that have had their success or just go through similar challenges, and you like see people with a certain aura, but really everyone has their different things going on, and they're very willing and approachable to share.
Yeah, and if you're in New York, I would also say follow Zehra from Headline BC on Twitter. She does a lot of events targeted at consumer founders. You should definitely attend that. I attended one and I was blown away by the quality of people. Um, and then
Headline VC. All right.
yeah, and then there's another
How do I
thing
spell her
called
name?
Zehra, Zehra. I'm not very sure what her LinkedIn, so what her Twitter. She's more active on Twitter than on LinkedIn, I think.
Okay. No problem. Keep going. So what's the next community?
Next one, you should follow bullish.co. They do a lot of events as
Bullish.co.
well. Yeah, they do a lot of events as well. Sometimes they partner up with folks. This is just New York I'm talking about. There are obviously a lot more.
Are they
Yeah.
are they the venture capital bullish?
Yes, they also do consulting, and I think they build their own brands as well.
Like is their logo like with the two white lines and a purple thing, or is that someone else? Let me see.
It's also blue. It's the same blue as
Yeah,
Limited
that
Supply.
looks like them. All right, I found them. All right, hold on. Let me just out them. They just got the shout out for brand founders. Okay. Thank you. Adding so much value. See, if you're watching this, there is no way you're not learning something. We definitely attritioned every single viewer we had because we just took it to the limit, and that's what people do
Yeah.
because it's always 5 o'clock somewhere. Wait, Salima's still here. Amazon early access. Something's going on. Oh, we are in Amazon early access. Yes, but really, if anyone is watching this, it should make you proud to know that you definitely just learned something, right? Like we just delivered you some secret communities, and secret in the sense that you didn't know about it, and now you know about it, right? So that's kind of what it's all about at the end of the day, is paying it forward, spreading awareness and information to everyone out there, that's really what this is about. So, and I do see all the comments. I wasn't seeing those in real time. Maya E. Bush, can this product be offered to agencies that manage client stores? Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm sorry I didn't see this. Yes, it can. I'll just say, hit up Salima or, okay. They do offer agency packages. Of course, it wouldn't let me comment. Darn this LinkedIn for being so faulty. I'll just say, yes, it can. Nope, LinkedIn's hating on your boy. Maya Bush, if you're still watching, we'll find you. We'll try to do better at real-time commenting because it won't let me do it. All right, LinkedIn is really hating. Maya Bush, if you're out there, Yes, it can. So I'll send you Maya Bush's contact info, Saps, just so you know who was asking that. You can find her. She is someone cool from the DTC land. I met her at an event. I don't remember much more. It's been hazy out here, but this is Maya Bush. I think she did some cool consulting. Now I remember where she came from. I think I met her via Kaylin. So yeah, shout outs to Maya Bush. I don't know. I'll send this to you, Simran, so you have it.
Perfect.
But yeah, so I'm gonna send that to you. So yeah, while we're still here, I just want to say the other question I had was one of the purposes of the e-commerce hotline and what it's about is we're going to, yes, it's a podcast, and yes, it's like that's really the point, but when you call a hotline, when you think of a hotline, it's usually an urgent situation, right? Like there's some really serious hotlines out there, like the domestic violence hotline, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. So we're not making light of those, but I would just say in an e-com context, what constitutes an emergency to you? I would say a concept that was brought to my attention yesterday was when you've been missold on a product by a vendor and you're an e-commerce store owner, who do you call, right? How do you find your way out of that situation? I think that could be a noble purpose for the actual e-commerce hotline. Like if someone is having a problem, I think you're having a technical difficulty, but this is a serious moment, serious matter right now. I would say like when you're having an emergency with your store where you've been wronged, you're in a situation with a vendor, you were told one thing and then it ended up being another. How do you get a trusted set of advisors to help you out of that situation? That might be a true purpose of the e-commerce hotline. So I'm going to give Saps a minute to come back if he can. We lost our mans in the field. I don't know what happened. Oh, you're back.
Hey, sorry, I had to grab my charger.
Okay, so his MacBook died. What was the last thing you heard me say, just so I can summarize that for you?
You were talking about the hotline.
Okay, so I was saying that we are not making light of true hotlines like the suicide prevention hotline or domestic violence hotlines or like emergency like 911, gas emergencies, etc. But really like the point was the e-commerce hotline could be when you have an e-commerce emergency, like when you've been missold on a product by a vendor and you're stuck in a bad situation and you don't know where to turn, you can call the e-commerce hotline. And I think that's a noble purpose. And I think that's something I can get behind. So thank you to Jason from Shopware for that suggestion, because I think we're going to run with it. And then the other thing is I was just going to ask, do you have any anecdotes about that type of situation from your career where either you as a e-com seller were in a bad situation, or was there something like that, right?
Yeah, and the biggest thing that comes to mind is I think something went wrong with the way our AWS was set up. Or no, I think maybe we had some sort of a hack attack. Yeah, it was some sort of a DDoS attack on the website, and we had set up AWS in a way that did not automatically take down the website if there was a DDoS attack, right? And I still remember the very next day we had like a $15,000 AWS bill.
What?
And yes, that is when I needed a hotline. But thankfully, I had our main POC at AWS on my WhatsApp. So he was my hotline, and I remember calling him and like, what the hell is going on? Like, we're figuring it out at our end, but you have to do something with the bill. Well, thankfully they did do something with the bill. We were not stuck with a $15,000 bill for one
Well, that's
day.
amazing. So they had compassion on you, and you had a rep that cared. So, but
Yeah,
that could be something that for the moment it was happening, you were like having a heart attack, like, oh my
exactly.
gosh, how are we going to pay for this? This is the end of my... So, once again, not to make light of things, I have had open heart surgery. So, if you got a problem with what I'm about to say, oh well, because I'm living my truth. But like basically, if you got hit with and mine was planned, but say you ended up in the hospital, unplanned, and you got hit with a giant bill, and that caused a shock to you or your family, or maybe something less serious, like, well, very like for example, if the roof started leaking, like if my beautiful podcast studio that we're sitting in all of a sudden got flooded, which is a big fear of mine because it's in a basement. If it for example, there's insurance, but you get my point. There is no assurance or insurance, so you might always need a trusted set of hands. That's one idea. So cool. I mean, that's a perfect example of the scenario. Many people go through it. I've seen that, right? Like there's a lot of things where maybe you weren't paying attention or something happened. Like, there's been some flubs in all of our careers, but like like where there was one where the business where the credit cards were left in test mode for a very long time, so none of the money got collected and all the orders shipped, which was crazy because somebody should have been checking the bank deposits. But at the end of the day, things like that, like that's something where you just might need someone to help guide you through the crisis, or hey, here's what you can do, go start calling these people. There's some things that literally you just need to get another set of ears or eyes on. But then there's things where maybe you didn't know a shortcut, like for example, with a lot of shipping and a lot of returns and that kind of stuff, like sometimes there's money being left on the table. There's this guy Ross that I met, and he specializes in helping people like arbitrate when FedEx or UPS didn't do something. You can actually get money back as a credit, and then they'll split the difference of that credit. So I feel like there's a lot of fixers out there. There's a lot of people that just by knowing them, they can really help you. And I think that's part of having a good network. So just by taking it full circle of what you said before, if you're in these communities and you're getting out of your house and, putting yourself out there or joining friendly like places, people are more friendly than you think, and people want to help on average. So look, that's a great note to end it on. Let's keep it on the positive note. I wish you a good rest of your trip. I wish you a successful journey. This has been really enlightening to me. I'm really jazzed about the product. I want to go tell like 3 brands that we work with about this. That's actually something I struggle with, is like, because, okay, so in the e-com world, you can get commissions from recommending software, which is a nice bonus, as a small business. It helps keep the lights on. But it's more, for me, it's like no solution can work unless the person embraces it and uses it. And it's like you said, people's behavior is hard to change. And so what I always wish for is just for people to listen, open their ears for a minute, try a product, or see how it can work for them, because they may, like, I respect all the business owners and all the business people we work with, because you wouldn't be doing what you're doing if you didn't know something or you didn't have that fight. So it's like sometimes I just want people to hear information, because then maybe they'll click. Like what clicks for you doesn't always click for me, or vice versa. But once you see it and you're like, oh, can it apply to this problem set that I'm having? A light bulb will go off, and then maybe you'll connect those dots. And that's why I recommend solutions. It's not always because like, this is hard, right? There's only so much money you have to spend on tech. But I would say that's what motivates me when I get excited about a solution like this. I'm like, this is like a window that you did not have. Actually, there was one more question, because I was trying to wrap it up, but now I have one more question. Did you get a lot of people running to you during the GA4 Armageddon, on which we're still living in the aftermath, and all the ashes are falling, and we live in Chernobyl of e-commerce right now, because GA is just dead. It's like almost a practically useless product now compared to what it was, unfortunately. And people are looking for different analytics solutions. Thanks to Paul Rogers for talking about that a little bit. But there's people exploring alternatives, or Shopify itself is being used as a source of truth for your analytics now. What did you have a lot of customers coming to you because you seem like a good place to go for that information? Because 1, you can ingest the GA APIs. 2, you have the platform data. 3, you have the marketing data. And that's most of the things people were using it for anyway, was to say, hey, how's my business doing? What's my average this? What's the carts? That sort of thing.
Correct. And that did happen to us when people first logged into GA4 for the first time, and then they saw the interface and realized that this looks nothing like the universal analytics.
Yeah.
They were they were obviously taken aback, right? But what we have done is the outputs that people usually got from universal analytics, and they downloaded into CSV files. we made our GA4 outputs look exactly the same. So for someone using Airboxr to pull data in from UA versus GA4, what they saw in the spreadsheet was exactly the same.
That's cool.
So, so from their perspective, it's like, all right, I've been downloading the CSV file all the time. Now I get the same CSV file or the same spreadsheet from GA4 instead of Universal Analytics. I don't really care about GA4.
So you're saying you helped people just get back to feature parity?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, they were going to pull this data into a spreadsheet to further analyze. So what do they care whether, we are pulling from GA4 or UA? That's our problem to solve. That's not their problem to solve.
Well, also what's nice is can you do a look back? Like, you know how like the UA data is still online, so that you might be an extraction tool in a way.
Yeah.
Can people
We
use
have
your service to get the data from GA out to Looker?
Yes. So we've kept our original Universal Analytics integrations live still.
Yeah, well,
Of course,
until the service gets taken offline, why not?
exactly. So you could go back and say you needed, before May data from there. You can always pull that into a spreadsheet and use that as a backup.
Yeah, but I'm saying, yeah, like once it's there, it's there. So like I
Yeah.
advise anyone that's one, because that's a problem that keeps me up at night is I'm like, you know how much work it is to try to do that yourself or through an
Yeah.
API, and it's like, but that means you could be used to help port that data into Looker and then
Yeah.
matrix the data from GA4 into Looker.
Yeah. Yeah. You
But,
can do that.
but you don't really sell your product like that. But that's one more cool, meaning like you're
Yeah.
not selling it as a data transformation or data transportation tool, but that sounds like it's one more cool facet of the product.
Yes, correct. You could use it as a way to store backups or as a way to, move data between systems. If you're using Looker, then we do have a service that we will create the Looker interface for you. Uh, and behind the scenes, if there are multiple automations that need to be created to run that Looker dashboard, then we will create that for you as well.
Yeah, because that data is not always static. Like if you want that data updated going forward, you need to pull that data over a period over time.
Exactly. And so Airboxer would pull new fresh data every day, and everything that's connected to Airboxer, like a Looker Studio dashboard, would also update every day accordingly.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, okay. This has been too much fun. I told you people there would be technical difficulties in the beginning. Like I'm not loving the fact that I can't even respond to chats in real time. I think it would be cool if I could actually do it, but Maya Bush did hear us. So that's good. She felt heard, which means she was still watching even though this thing doesn't tell me who's watching. I really feel lucky that people got value out of this. All in all, you've been an amazing guest. I think I was the problem, honestly, in the beginning, making your life miserable. But no, like this has been a phenomenal experience. I want to give one more opportunity because I really wanted to test the hotline. Um, but I don't think he called. I wanted some random individual to just call the hotline. So I'm just gonna go enforce it and call it myself really quick while on the phone with you, just to see, just to test the theory. But it would be nice if a real person could call. Um, all right. So the best part about this is if someone calls, the goal is to get the audio into the like the audio into this without having we're not going to reveal your number or anything like that. We just want you to know you're being heard, right? So I'm calling it now. Okay, it's ringing on the computer. Do you hear that? Dun, no, 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 no. Somebody might hear that. Okay. So the problem I think is you won't hear it. Okay, so we're live. Okay. We're live. Yep, it's working. Because you see the air call thing is there. So watch this. But you can't hear it, right, Saps?
No, I can't
Because
hear
yeah,
anything.
see, you're on Zoom, so I haven't bridged that gap. Only they can hear me on here. But if I had a way to like tap you into the feedback loop, like if you had this live stream open, I don't know. We'll figure it out later. But for example, if I walk over here, I can just be like, hey, this is Chuck from Alabama. And I'm running a Shopify store. We're selling venison from the woods of Alabama, and my Shopify is having problems.
via the e-commerce hotline, and we're doing live calls. So we'll get there once we have like hundreds of viewers. I'm sure we'll get some calls.
Yeah.
We'll see how that sounded on the post.
Anyway, it worked. That's awesome.
Awesome.
All right, cool. So I hope you'll come back. We could also do some recorded episodes one day. But this was a great off the cuff. Any last words? Anything you want to say to me before we shut this thing down?
Well, we have to find a way to meet up again very soon. That's all I want to say. And thank you for having me. Thank you for having me on this.
Yeah, man.
I'm delighted to be number one on your hotline.
Yeah,
The
no,
first
you
ever
are,
episode.
you are literally the first ever live or not live, because I'm going to take this recording, clean up the beginning maybe, and put it out there on YouTube, because basically I signed up for YouTube live stream a little too late. They put me in jail for 24 hours because they don't want people just creating it. Even though I've had this account for years, they don't want people just going like, it's like the mandatory waiting period when you're trying to buy a gun. It's like, you need to think about this for 24 hours before we let you just go live on the internet. So yeah, I'm going to put the video up, and I'm just going to stop the stream and the recording, but I won't hang up Zoom yet. And I was going to say that definitely want to meet up with you again. Like I said, I was out with Shopware last night. If you want to connect to those folks, it was like more of an intimate, just me and them. Otherwise, I was going to definitely tell you to come on down. So I was going to say, I can introduce you guys because they're trying to grow, and this is another cool product. And also the founder, Stefan Heyman, if you're listening, I'm just going to see if I can tag him in the comments. I don't think I can, unfortunately. Let's see if I can tag. Hold on, ST. I got to zoom in because my eyes are not good with this. All right, here we go. We shouted you out. Please check out Airboxr. So Stefan Heyman is the founder of Shopware. It's been around for 20 years. He's like one of those genius CEOs or founders. No, it wouldn't let me tag him. This thing is terrible. Basically a genius CEO or founder who innovates his product. So like when the AI came out, he was like baking it into the product. So they have he was one of the first platforms to do AI natively in the platform, and they're constantly just trying to innovate their technology. So I think he would get a real kick out of what you're doing and help you get that integration live, because I just think that's one more competitive advantage that you guys have, is to be in every market. So anyway, thank you. I'm Maier Bianchi. Once again, this is Saptarshi Nath, or Saps as he likes to be called, saying thank you for watching the e-commerce hotline. Next time I hope you call, because we got the phones here.
If you need help with e-commerce but don't have time, call the e-commerce hotline. If you need help to make your store shine, call the e-commerce hotline. Your store needs improving, don't deny, gotta call e-commerce hotline. Call 888-499-3266, your store will be fine. 888-499-3266, make your store shine. E-commerce hotline, e-commerce hotline.